In this tutorial, I will discuss about the XSS attack in PHP. XSS actually that means cross-site scripting. This attack can occur when the user input is not properly sanitized before being included in the web pages. The attacker injects the malicious code, for example JavaScript, into a page, which then can be executed by other users who view the page. So in order to prevent the XSS attack, you need to validate and sanitize the input that you will get from the user, and then you will have to use the proper output encoding method when you will display that data on the web page. So let's start. So how XSS attack occurs? I am going to give you an example of this. For example, this is a sample code. This code is to connect MySQL with PHP using PDO method. Okay, so you already know this code, so I am not going to describe this. After that, I give one thing, that is if is set post of username. What does this do? I am going to come here later. I am going to show you one form. For example, now I am going to my page, and here if I refresh, you will see that the current username is admin. Now I will go to give some input here and then submit. In my database there is a table. The table name is admins table, and here are two fields, username and password. For example, I want to change the username by giving some input. The current username is admin. The current username is showing here, and that has been like this. Here I call a show query. So PDO prepare select all from admins where id equal to 1. So I get the information using the result as row, and the current username I get from their row of username. So current username will always be shown here like this. Okay, so now let's do one thing. For example, I want to change the username. So admin 123, then click on submit. You see that current username is admin 123, because here if I refresh, you will see that current username has been changed. That means when I am going to submit this form, it is coming here, and if is set post username, if the user gives here something, then I will get the post username into variable username, and then I update the data. So update the admins tables of field, that is username, where id equal to 1. So username is that I get from the user input. Okay, so simply it is going to be updated. If I give here user enter, you see that the current user is user. Okay, like this. But the problem is when a person wants to run some JavaScript code. For example, in the username field, I give the input like this. So this is a JavaScript code. If I click on submit, you see that that is already updated into the database. Okay, so script alert hack, this one also it is showing. That means that alert, that JavaScript code is running in the user front end. If I go to refresh it again, you see that a pop-up comes hacked. That means the JavaScript code is running in the user page. That is very security issue. That is very alarming issue for you, because a hacker can try some other JavaScript code to hack your script. So become very careful about this. So what you will do, we will use two types of things. One is sanitization and another one is validation. So you see that the alert hack, there is another way. If the user gives here something like document.cookie submit, you will see that in the pop-up it is showing what is the cookie values. The cookie variable here is PHP session ID, and here this information is given. So in this way, using the session hijacking process, the hacker can try to steal your session and cookie values. So in order to protect the script from the session hijacking or any other malicious code, you will have to use the XSS protection. So now let's go to here. You have to understand something here. In order to protect your script from XSS attack, just First thing is use prepared statement. You already know how to use the prepared statement. Another one is sanitization. There are two ways to apply the sanitization. One is strip tags, another one is filter input. For example, when a person will give input here like this, post of username, I will use here something. For example, strip tags. That means if I use the function and put the input here, so when a person will go to input something bad here, like this, I am going back. So here if you try to run this code here, just to go here, put the script, submit, you will see that the script tag is not here. When the data is inserted into the database, I removed all the HTML tags. So script is a HTML tag, so I removed this. And without the script tag, the alert will not actually work in the home page. If you run, you will normally see that the username alert hacked, but there is actually no tags here. So this is one type of sanitization. Okay, so this is the sanitization method where you can use the strip tags. But there is another one that is better than the strip tags, that is filter input process. If I go to the PHP official website, this link I already will give you, that is function filter input.php. In this page you will see there is a function that is filter input. Okay, so you can easily call the filter input process here like this, filter input, and input get search filter sanitize special case. So the last part is very important because here you can use the filter var or filter input array. If you go here, you will see that there are some filter variables. The filter variables, okay, so filter validate int. So in this way you can check that the input must be an integer. If someone gives an item that is not integer, it will show error. So in this way you can use the filter validate email. So for example, I will give here one input. For example, I am going to show you here. When it will come, I will use like this. I will check here. Instead of strip tags, I can check here like this. That is this one. If the filter var, the post of username, if it is email, for example, I want that this will be an email, so filter validate email. If not filter var, then what I can do, I can give an error here. So here I can give error, else I will save the data in the database if that pass the line. Okay, so if it is validated, then only I can show the data here. Here one bracket missing, give here. Okay, now if you do not give any email format, submit, it will show that error. This is the current username. I am going back to show the current username, good format. Okay, so refresh, you will see that the error means this value will not be changed. Error not changed. I am going to give an beer here like this, and now if I refresh it, you see that error. So current username will not be changed. If you try to give the script that is like this, so if I try to give something like that, submit, it is error because it will check the input format. So in this way you can use the validation. Okay, so this technique is can be used very easily in the XSS protection. So filter var. If you go to the next page, you will see that the filters validate PHP. That means there is a page here is filter validate. In this way you can call the validation variables here with the filter var. Okay, so validate filter. So this is called actually validation. If you want that instead of the filter validate email, you want to validate integer. But before going to there, I am going to check that if I give an email format, it will be inserted without problem. You see that the username is changed. That means it will take only the email format. Now if I want that it will take only integer. So what will happen if I give the email address? It will show error because it will only take integer. If you give a string, it will not take it. If you want to give the malicious code here, like the script here, okay, if I now try to put this here, submit, it will not take, but only the integer will be taken. For example, 1 on 1, submit, the username is updated. So in this way you can validate every user input. So this is a very secure system in PHP, so you can give the security by this way. You can also give the validate URL, so you must have to give the HTTP in this URL format. So here are some validation filters, you can use that. And another one is sanitize filter. You see that there are some sanitize filter. With the validation, you can also use the in the same time the sanitization email system. Okay, so in this way filter var you can use the filter sanitize string. So these are the main guidelines here. You can use both, you can apply the both filter both sanitization and validation in the same way. And there is another one, that is the output. The output means when you will output the information in front of user. I am now going back it first I am going to back this one. For example, somehow the user give the input, the bad code, right? So here, for example, the user gives this code into here. So as I did not use any validation or sanitization, you see that the bad data is into here. Now what I can do, there is another function here, that is HTML special chars. It will use to output data into HTML context. So here I show the output. So here what I can do, I can use the HTML special chars here. Now if I try to show the output, the full syntax with the HTML tag is into my page, but this is not running. Okay, you see that the malicious code is here, but in the front end it is not working. It's just give it output, but it is not running. That means that is no alert message here. So you also will have to should use the sanitization for output. And there is another one, that is HTML entities. You can also use that. These both functions will do the same thing in the case of output, but there are some differences. For example, HTML entities encode all applicable characters, but HTML special chars only encodes a limited set of characters. For example, and, less than, then greater than, single quote and double quote. HTML entities supports multiple character sets, but HTML special characters only supports ISO 88591 and UTF-8 character sets. So this is in short the XSS protection tutorial, and I hope you have understood the every aspect and you will be able to protect your PHP course.